Hello, Captains. This is the Doctor, and today we are going to go through some news in the game Star Trek Online. So it is Wednesday. It is March 29th, a day before First Contact Day. And they have posted their rewards. And we're going to go through all this, but there's actually a lot of news to go through here. Some things that we need to catch up on in terms of Star Trek Online. There's been many events. We just came off of the Voth mission, the queue where you go through and do the breach. The event is over, but now they have the regular queue up. That is the original queue where you would go through the entire Voth city ship and do that mission to get your Dyson marks and other things that you need for Dyson gear. That queue has changed just a little bit. It's been updated, but it is not all that different from what it was before. I might make a video on it. However, I might have probably already done that in the past. It's really not that different. It is, however, still a lot of fun and a lot easier these days than it used to be in the past. So that is something you can go in the game and do, is to go play the breach, the actual queue, and not the actual event. Two different things there. But today we are on the Star Trek Online webpage here, and I'm going to catch us up on some of the latest news. One of the big things that people are talking about right now are the space balance changes. They are doing some huge balancing changes to this game. And I don't know what the end result of all this is going to be yet. And I don't think anybody really knows at this point how it's really going to turn out until it does. I mean, things are getting nerfed, things are getting buffed, things are getting changed. They're basically trying to balance out the powers. Now, this is not something new. First of all, please don't freak out over this. They have done these balance changes in the past, especially when they do big things like changing the skill system. They have done this numerous times in the past where power levels have changed. There is this phenomenon known as power creep. And as they add on more and more unique powers, people seem to get really, really powerful and, in a word, up in this game. And while that's fun, of course, they can't keep it that way forever. And this has been a problem before, and they've addressed it before, and they have done big changes, in fact, not too recently, in terms of how powers work and actually getting them working just right. And believe it or not, sometimes your powers aren't always working correctly, or they're not proccing correctly. This happens a lot. But these changes are coming to the game, whether you like it or not, and we will just have to see what the game is like, how the power structure is in terms of doing damage, tanking, that sort of stuff. We will see how all that turns out in the end. So I'm not going to read this entire page right now because it is quite lengthy, but you can surely go to the Star Trek Online Arc Games webpage and read this for yourself. Details on space battle changes. And this will detail all of the balance changes coming. And it just simply says, I'll briefly skim through some of this. Star Trek Online has been live for just over 7 years at this point, during which time we have been adding and updating new content to play, new systems to interact with, and new mechanics to utilize. Recently, we announced balance changes coming to Star Trek Online. Now we're excited to tell you about some of the bigger changes coming to space combat in the game, and some of the reasoning behind them. Given the opportunity to make such drastic changes in Star Trek Online's experience, it was important to set up some guiding principles to ensure that the game, as much as possible, only gets better. This boils down to increasing the fun. Games are about having fun, and players should not be made to feel that the fun is wrong. Player investment retains value. While things need to be adjusted, a setup that was optimized before should still be useful and effective afterwards. I commend them on that, Mark, because a lot of people have invested time and effort and resources into their current builds. And yeah, people would get upset if all of a sudden their favorite build wasn't working as effective as it used to be. So thank you, Cryptic, for thinking about that. That's good. Choices should be meaningful. Anywhere the game gives you a choice, there should be no choice that always takes nor one. Totally screwed that up. Let's start over. Choices should be meaningful. Anywhere the game gives you a choice, there should be no choice that you always take, nor one you never take. So we'll go on to read this. Carrier pets are receiving a big update. I'm happy to see that. I think carrier pets have been a little weak. They're going to get an updated AI to be more responsive. That's great. They're immune to one torpedo every 30 seconds. Interesting. Are unaffected by warp core breaches. Again, interesting. They won't die as much. This will keep us from having to keep spawning these pets so often. That is always a problem when you have pets like this, is you're constantly respawning them because they're dying with warp core breaches. It happens. It's a thing. Receive a health and damage increase. Carrier pets that already have scratched the paint have received a few other buffs to account for this. So these are getting better, these pets. So that's nice to see. That's a buff. This is not a nerf in any way. So that's cool. That's awesome. That's going to make some people happy there. Weapons are undergoing a lot of changes targeted at making the various types and firing modes more relevant. Beam overload no longer always critically hits, but has had its damage increase. Okay, and additionally gives you basic attacks with beam weapons a significant amount of bonus damage and critical severity for a short duration after being activated. Fire at will. Everybody uses this. Fire at will now has a slight penalty to the weapon's damage instead of an increase at ranks 2 and 3, and has an accuracy debuff as well. So that's interesting. Obviously, everybody who's anybody uses fire at will. We all know what that's like. So, I can see that they want to kind of balance that out a little bit more. The target subsystem powers have been redesigned and now enable all of your enemy weapons to place a stacking power drain debuff on the target and have a chance to take the target's relevant subsystems offline. Kinetic weaponry has received some changes. Targetable torpedoes now fly faster, and both targetable torpedoes and mines are no longer affected by hazard abilities. Okay. Different careers have received several changes, mostly focused on increasing the effectiveness of engineering and science captains. Obviously, tactical captains are already very powerful. Everybody knows that. Cryptic knows that. So here they are specifically mentioning giving some love to engineering and science captains. Yes, I like this. Subnucleonic beam is now a lieutenant commander or higher science bridge officer power. In its place, science captains now gain deflector overcharge, which significantly increases outgoing healing, exotic damage, and control abilities, and drain abilities. The combat effectiveness of allies summoned by Photonic Fleet has been significantly increased. Yay for that, because Photonic Fleet has kind of lost its usefulness in the past, and I'd like to see that be useful again. Miracle Worker's healing is significantly increased, and now also gives a significant amount of secondary shielding for a short duration. That's nice, because I always use Miracle Worker on an engineer. EPS power transfer now also gives the target an increase to all maximum subsystem power levels for the duration. So EPS power transfer just got more powerful. Very nice. I like those changes to engineering. There are a few other significant changes coming with this patch. All abilities that reflect damage now deal the damage type they are reflecting. Reflected damage can no longer critically hit or be buffed. All hot restart powers that automatically remove a subsystem offline can no longer apply more than one over 60 seconds. All holds now give their target hold resistance. All disables now give their target disable resistance. All player damage immunities now place a 1.5 second lockout on you. The equation used to determine how weapon power influences your damage has been changed to a higher benefit at low power levels than before, and the same benefit as before at 100 weapons power and slightly less while above. So there are, of course, even more changes coming, and I'm sure they'll release more information as it comes. So I would say about all this, let's not freak out just yet. We've had big sweeping changes in this game in the past, and guess what? It survived. People found a way to do a lot of damage, even with those changes over time. So I think that's the key here. People will still find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way, and they will find that way. So let's not freak out about this. It's going to happen. Let's see what happens. I'm not too worried about it because I've seen things like this before, and it's all kind of worked out okay in the end. Now, my next question about this, though, are they going to do some some ground power changes? My logic sense tells me yes, or maybe this has already been announced. If it has, I've missed it. There are a lot of things in Star Trek Online recently, news-wise, I have missed. So I could have possibly missed this, but let me know in the comments. Are they planning to do ground power changes as well? And, we'll see if we hear about that in the future. Okay, the next thing we've got here, First Contact Day. That is coming. In fact, literally tomorrow. In fact, by the time I publish this video, it's nearly going to be active. So this video is probably going to be up like right before the game, right before this launches. So not a lot of lead time there. I apologize for that. But anyway, this is coming on... Oh, I take that back. No, it's coming on... Yeah, no, it's coming on March 30th. They got me with the April 5th here. It says April 5th is the anniversary of First Contact Day, when humans and Vulcans first met on Earth. To celebrate the anniversary of First Contact Day, the Zefram Cochrane Memorial and Historical Museum is holding a special reenactment event from Thursday, March 30th at 9 a.m. PST until Thursday, April 6th at 10 a.m. PST. Participants are invited to visit to Bozeman, Montana, the site of Cochrane's launch of the first human warp-capable ship, the Phoenix, and engage in the construction of their own replica Phoenix. So, that's interesting. So this does literally start tomorrow as of this recording. So this will be March 30th. I will make a recording of this and we'll see what this all involves. One interesting aspect here is that the game is going to Montana, and outside of Starfleet Academy, there are no other places yet on Earth that this game has recreated. So this is the first location outside of Starfleet Academy in Star Trek Online that is being created, and we are going to go visit on Earth. That, I think, is cool, and I wish they would open up even more areas on Earth. Could you imagine walking through a futuristic San Francisco or something, out on Earth in the future to get to Starfleet Academy? You can go to Montana. I mean, this would be really cool. Maybe this is the start of something cool. But anyway, a new location on Earth, which I'm happy about seeing. Captains who participate while searching the area for useful parts, just like Cochrane scavenged the pieces for the Phoenix, using these parts in conjunction with a basic hull assembly, captains will make their own model of the Phoenix by combining engines, hull, and stabilizer parts found in various bits and pieces scattered through the recreation of the historical settlement. Under the shadow of Zefram Cochrane's statue, try to get the best parts possible, because the engines will make your model go faster, hull will make it survive longer, and stabilizers will keep it going at a better angle of launch. Once captains have had a few minutes to collect their parts, they'll return to their unfinished models and use leftover pieces to improve on the pieces they've assembled. After that, everyone will assemble at the missile silo to launch the models. Whoever's model reaches the highest altitude will be declared the winner of that launch and the honorary student of Cochrane. Captains of level 10 and above may participate in this event. Even captains from the Klingon Defense Force and Romulan Republic are welcome to join the festivities as a celebration of diversity and the meeting of different species. So this is very cool. So what this is when I first read this, I thought we were going to actually be flying like life-size Phoenixes, but it sounds like these are going to be small models, like you would go and build, a model airplane or a model rocket and go launch it in a field or something. That's what this feels like. This is a model rocket challenge. Interesting, because they've never had anything like this in Star Trek before. This is a new mechanic, and I cannot wait to see how this mechanic plays out in the gameplay. So I will do this event. I will record this event. Probably won't be good at it the first time, at least, but I will record it nonetheless. My very first reaction of it, and then I'll practice some more and maybe get even better at it. Something interesting I was looking at here, we've got Allied Escort bundles, so some new escorts, and I like the look of this ship, whatever this is. What is this? Let's see, we're excited to announce 3 new Tier 6 escorts, 1 for each faction. These starships are available in the C-Store and can be purchased, so I don't know why they're doing this all of a sudden, but they are some Tier 6 escorts. Starfleet will gain access to the Cation Shikari's Escort. I love the look of this, by the way. So that is a Cation, or Cadian, or however you want to say it. It's an awesome looking ship. That looks cool. Klingons will gain access to the Frisian Sitius Escort. And Romulans will have the opportunity to captain the Riemann Hathos Warbird. Each of these escorts have a fleet variant available. In addition to the standard starship trade and console, they have a special heavy weapon equipment slot. Heavy weapon equipment slot. Is that a new thing? Heavy weapons. Huh. This will require some reading. I've never heard about a heavy weapon slot before. Railgun. Heavy weapon. The Escort also comes equipped with the Railgun Heavy Weapon in its heavy weapon slot. This potent weapon deals kinetic damage periodically and fires like a standard weapon. It may be upgraded like a standard weapon, swapped out for another heavy weapon, and placed in any other starship's heavy weapon slot. Railguns fire in a 360-degree arc and deal heavy kinetic damage to your target. A portion of this damage will bypass the target shield. So a kinetic weapon, I mean, nothing surprising there. We've seen that before, but what is unique is that escorts now have a heavy weapon slot, and only heavy weapons can go there. You can only switch it out with other heavy weapons, but you can switch them out and you can upgrade them, which means you must be able to remove it from the slot to be able to do that and slot in other things and upgrade them. So this is new. This is definitely new. I've never heard of this before. Wow, okay. You'd think there would be a bigger announcement about it. Heavy weapons are a new item slot in your starship's inventory UI. Only heavy weapons can be placed in this slot. Heavy weapons can be upgraded like normal weapons, and also like normal weapons, they will show up in the weapons UI and can be set to auto-fire. However, unlike most projectile and directed energy weapons, they are not affected by weapon modes like beam overload or torpedo high yield. So they're not, modified by bridge officer powers. Initially, these starships and their fleet variants will only be ships to possess a heavy weapon slot. However, in an upcoming release, many starships will be receiving the heavy weapon slot. The Tier 6 Raiders and all Tier 6 starships with a tactical commander seat, 7 weapons, and 1 or few hangar bays will receive a heavy weapon slot and access to a basic upgradable heavy weapon. Players already in possession of one of these starships upon this release will need to claim a heavy weapon from the Reclaim tab of the Dilithium store. All newly acquired starships with a heavy weapon slot will come equipped with a heavy weapon by default. This new inventory slot and item is being introduced to reinforce the damage roll of starships that possess them and can significantly improve your starship's damage output, especially after being upgraded. Well, so there you go, guys. Even with these space things that are being updated, this balancing act that they're doing, they're still giving escorts a heck of a lot of DPS. Now we have a new heavy weapon slot and a new heavy weapon weaponry here, and these ships do kinetic damage. They're really buffing up tactical ships, escort ships, even though they don't need it. So that just goes to show they're not nerfing everything, and they're not nerfing tactical or escorts. They're, in fact, buffing an escort. Like it even needs it. It doesn't, but they are. So there you go. Don't worry. You're still going to be doing tons of DPS in your escort. This starship comes equipped with a railgun. The Railgun Destabilizer Module Universal Console. Activating the console will cause your starship to overload its railgun and deliver a withering barrage of explosive projectiles at random nearby enemies. Each projectile deals heavy kinetic damage in an area of effect with a small amount of shield penetration. If your hull strength is low at the end of your barrage, you will receive a large increase to your flight speed, damage resistance rating, and defense for a brief time. Otherwise, your railgun barrage ability's recharge time will be reduced slightly. The console provides a passive boost to impulse expertise and maximum weapon power. Ooh. So yeah, I mean they're still even buffing your escort abilities here. Starship trait. After achieving level 5 in your Cation Shikari's Escort or your Slithius Escort or Hathos Warbird, you will unlock the Hit and Run Starship trait. While this trait is slotted, evasive maneuvers will provide a very damage resistance rating buff. When evasive maneuvers expires, you receive a weapon damage and critical hit damage buff for a short time. These items will be available in the C-Store individually or can be found together in the Tier 6 Allied Escort bundle. Well, so there you go, some new escorts to play with. I definitely will be looking at those ships when I can get them because I do like an escort or two, and I have not done a lot of escort reviews, but I would like to do some more. And yeah, I'm really interested in those escorts. Sound pretty cool, look pretty neat too, so yeah, I'm interested in especially trying out the heavy weapon thing. So here we go, Season 13 is coming, and it's called Escalation, and it's coming a lot sooner than I thought. It's coming on April 25th, so literally a month from now, we are going to get Season 13 of Star Trek Online. My only hope and worry is if it will be in-depth enough. Sometimes they do a half-season type thing. You know, they release a season, but then they can't get everything out in that season, so then they do a 0.5 of a season. For example, Season 12.5 or whatever, or Season 13.5. So I don't know. I hope they can get as much as they can out in the initial season release because that makes it feel more full instead of empty. And sometimes these season releases lately have been feeling just a little empty. So we'll see what Season 13 is going to be like. So this is the first time seeing this. Some kind of cityscape here, which sounds interesting, or looks interesting. The battle for the galaxy continues to escalate, Captains. On April 25th, PC players will be able to experience the newest season of Star Trek Online, Season 13 Escalation. This season brings with it a brand new featured episode, new types of queues through our War Games system that adds new challenges and new ways to play against other captains, a new reputation that features class-specific space and ground sets, and the Player Potential system, which match players in War Games and PvP queues based on relative player skill. Okay, we got a lot of new things here to dissect. I am not sure what any of this means. First of all, let's just backtrack a little bit. We're getting a featured episode. That's pretty standard. That's pretty common when a new season comes out now. We get one featured episode. Used to in the past, we got a lot more than that. At least we're getting one. So I'll take that. Then we're getting some new queues. So some new STFs, as you could just, put a general name on it. Some new queues to play. Now my question with that is it too much? Because we just got these Zenkethi queues not too long ago, and they just redid the Breach queue, and everybody's like playing those right now. I mean, there are still people leveling their Lucari reputation and stuff, so people are doing the Zenkethi queues. So is introducing some new queues only a couple months later here too soon? Is it too many? Because there's only so many people in the game, and if you spread them out across all the queues that are available, there's not enough people to play them all. And that's what you find in the game. Many of the queues are abandoned because there's not enough people to play them. They're all spread. There's just too many of them. So that remains to be a problem in my opinion, and it looks like they just keep adding to that problem. Now, there's a new thing here called a War Games system. This is new. We're getting something brand new. Again, maybe diluting the player base by having more queues and things that there's not enough people to play, but still, something called a War Games system, and it adds new challenges and new ways to play against other captains. And so this sounds to me like they're trying to kick up PvP. They're trying to get PvP off the ground. For a long while, PvP has been kind of dead in the game because it's very broken. Everybody knows this. But it sounds like they're trying to generate some interest in PvP in the game and get people to play against other captains. That's what it sounds like here. So this will be a new way to approach and do war games with other players, it sounds like. Now, there's also going to be another new reputation. Again, we just had the Lucari reputation. Is it too soon? Because for me, I'm still leveling the Lucari reputation. I'm on tier 5 on my main character of the Lucari reputation. I just hit tier 5, and you know how long that last tier takes. Takes a very long time to finish. And that's just one character. I got 10 more characters, at least, that need the Lucari reputation. So it's just going to take me a very long time to finish the Lucari reputation, and now I'm getting another reputation on top of that. No way I can do all that. I just don't have the time. And I think a lot of players might be in that position. Just too much, a little bit of overload. You know what I mean? However, this one sounds maybe a little bit unique, a little different. It features class-specific space and ground sets. So I guess depending on your class, engineering, science, tactical, it's going to give you different space and ground sets. That's cool. That's unique. But again, it's another reputation I'm going to have to work through. Whatever the market is to get it, And it sounds like it might be tied into this whole PvP thing, like you do the PvP stuff to get the marks for it. And that's what I'm going to guess, just reading that first paragraph. Okay, and we're going to get a player potential system, which matches player in war games. So a whole new way for people to match up in these war games. So that's some new stuff. It scares me, but we'll see what happens. New featured episode in Mirrors and Smoke. Players will journey with their Lucari companion, Captain Kumarake, as she explores her people's past and battles a new threat from the marauding Zenkethi. So they're continuing this storyline with the Zenkethi. That's very good. War games. The War Games queues will put players in head-to-head competitive PvE. Well, that's player versus enemy. That's not PvP. These new queues split 10 players into teams of 5 who must race to complete objectives before the other. Oh, so you really are playing against another team. So you're not playing head-to-head against another player. You're basically playing team to team. Your team against another team in PvE combat. Interesting. An interesting way to do it. A very interesting way. I'm interested to see how that turns out. Again, my only problem is I hope there's enough people in the game to actually play these things and, keep the queues full. At first, I'm sure they will be, but you guys have seen what happens with all the other queues in the game. They die off, and people stop playing them after a while. Balancing. To support the new war games, we've created a player potential system that will match you to other players in a brand new way. Our goal is to always ensure that every decision a captain makes is an effective one. With that in mind, we've made many changes to space combat that encourage captains to explore new aspects of gameplay. These changes will go live in Season 13. Well, there's some interesting things here. Sounds like a lot to take in, and we'll have to see what happens. So here are the Allied Escort bundle stats. They came out with the stats on these things, so let's look at them real quick. The Cation one, Tier 6, C-Store, Vice Admiral, 34,000 level 50, 40,000 hull at level 60, shield modifier of 1, 4 forward weapons, 3 aft, 1 Lieutenant Tactical, 1 Commander Tactical, 1 Lieutenant Engineering, 1 Lieutenant Commander Science / Intel, and 1 Lieutenant Universal. So an escort with an intel seating, but it does have a Lieutenant Universal, and it does have Commander Tactical. 4 tactical consoles, 2 engineering, 4 science. It's a little heavy on science. That's interesting. I guess that goes hand in hand with the intel seating too. It's got a very high turn rate. Inertia is 70. It's got the Escort Mastery Package and the Starship Trait and Unique console that we already talked about. The ship details on... Wait a minute. Yeah, that was the Cation Shikar's Escort. Okay. The fleet one is just going to have a higher hull, 44,000, and a higher shield modifier, 1.1. Here's the Phrasian Slithus Escort. Pretty much the same thing. 40,000 hull, 4 3 aft, same seating, 1 Lieutenant Tactical, 1 Commander, 1 Lieutenant Engineering, 1 Lieutenant Commander Science Intel. Yeah, the same seating, so same specs. The exact same specs. So basically, the ships are all the same on all the factions. The only difference is going to be how they look. And then the fleet version is going to have a higher hull and a higher shield. That's pretty much it. Same thing with, oh no, wait, look at this one. Actually, the Romulan one has a higher hull. 42,000 hull at level 60. No, it's lower. No, that's higher. These are 40,000 at level 60. Yeah, the regular ones are 40,000 at level 60. So actually, the Romulan ship has a slightly higher hull strength, but it has a slightly lower shield modifier by 0.05. Now, what kind of difference could a 0.05 shield modifier make? I mean, come on, guys. That's ridiculous. Just make it 1 for crying out loud. So they have a little bit of a higher hull. 443 aft. 1 lieutenant tactical, 1 commander tactical, 1 lieutenant engineering, 1 lieutenant commander science intel, 1 lieutenant universal. Same seating though. 4 tactical, 2 engineering, 2 science. Same there. Same turn rate. Same inertia. It's just weird that the hull and the shield is a little different on the Romulan one. I wonder why that is. Or is that a typo? Because it doesn't make any sense that the Romulan one would be different. But I guess it is, because the fleet version has 46,000 hull at 60 instead of 44. So yeah, and a higher shield modifier. So the Federation and the Klingon ships have the same hull strength and shield modifier, but the Romulan one has a slightly higher hull strength and a slightly lower shield modifier, except for the fleet version, which has a higher hull strength. What this weird? I don't know why they would do that slight difference on the Romulan one. I don't know. Maybe because it's a Riemann ship? I don't get it. But it is what it is. The railgun, the heavy weapon system, we talked about that. And the starship trait, we talked about that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. I just don't know why the Romulan ship has a different hull strength and shield modifier than the other two. I don't know. Maybe because it's bigger. I don't know. Don't know. Just don't know. Okay, First Contact Day celebration rewards. So here are the rewards for First Contact Day. When you complete the queue for the First Contact Day event, you will receive a special Zephram Cochrane Memorial Hologram Voucher. Limited 1 per day, per character. A minimum of 4 holograms are required in order to receive a special event prize box that includes the following. A starship trait called Theta Radiation Infused Evasive Maneuvers. When this trait is active, using evasive maneuvers will inject theta radiation into the drive throttle, sending a shockwave behind your ship which damages enemies. Lingering theta radiation continues to inflict damage on enemy ships for a brief duration. So for 4 holograms, I guess 4 days, you can get a free starship trait. Of course I'll do that. Then the Phoenix Replica. A replica toy rocket resembling the Phoenix, Zephram Cochrane's legendary warp ship, as seen in the First Contact Day event. A special holo emitter for your shuttles and fighters that will make your ship look like the Phoenix. The device has an unlimited duration, unlike those provided by the Ferengi. For those who find themselves with additional holograms after receiving this special prize box, there will be a recurring reputation project that rewards a box of 100 marks of your choice. So basically we're going to get a hologram of the ship. We get to change our shuttles or fighters or whatever to make it look like the Phoenix, but it won't physically be the Phoenix. We don't get to actually fly one or have a ship that's actually it. Kind of disappointed by that. I think the event reward should have been a Phoenix. Should have been, as powerful as a shuttle, but it actually should have, or less, but it should, whatever. I don't know about all that, but it just we should have had one, darn it. I'm a little disappointed that we don't have an actual Phoenix. We just have a hologram of one. Whatever. I'll probably try to get it. Well, that's all the news I have for right now. That's a lot of information to absorb and things to do and things that are coming. And, we'll just see what happens with all these things here going on. Season 13 coming up. Sounds like a lot of new interesting stuff to dive into that I'm not sure how it's going to work out. Kind of has me worried, only because there's a lot of saturation right now in the game. By that I mean a lot of things and not enough people. So we'll see what happens with that stuff. But at any rate, yeah, that's what I got. So let me know in the comments what you think of these news updates, all this stuff going on. and we'll see where it goes from here. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.